to our cover story, and this is a situation we're going to be following all week. The trial of Andrew Warren. It starts tomorrow in federal court. A judge will determine if Governor Ron DeSantis overstepped his authority when he removed the Florida state attorney. And tonight, Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders in Tallahassee tracking all the new developments. Forrest?
Well, Paul, what I can tell you is that this trial is moving fast. The judge in Florida's Northern District is moving quick because he wants to limit disruption as much as possible to Warren's post. That is the 13th Judicial Circuit. And here we are, less than 24 hours before arguments begin.
The gavel drops in North Florida's Northern District at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning. Judge Robert Hinkle, a Clinton appointee, set to hear arguments for an expected 3 to 5 days. His verdict will determine if the governor's ouster crossed the line, potentially putting Andrew Warren back in his elected post.
We would have liked to be back in office, 3 months ago. But the reality is that the trial gives an opportunity for people to see the truth and the whole truth about what happened.
Warren told us in the final hours before trial he's ready and that he remains confident the law is on his side.
There's so much more at stake than my job. And this is about protecting elections in our state. It's about making sure that elected officials have the right to speak out on issues of public importance.
The Democrat was ousted after he signed pledges not to prosecute violations of Florida's new 15-week abortion ban, as well as to, quote, not promote the criminalization of gender-affirming health care. Warren calls it free speech as he hadn't rejected any cases.
We are suspending State Attorney Andrew Warren effective immediately.
Even so, Governor Ron DeSantis announced that suspension on August 4th, alleging the prosecutor was neglecting his duty.
When you flagrantly violate your oath of office, when you make yourself above the law, you have violated your duty. You have neglected your duty, and you are displaying a lack of competence.
In his executive order, DeSantis cited Warren's pledges, and the governor's office doubled down on his position in this new statement. Quote, Governor DeSantis has a duty to hold Florida's elected officials to the standards of their oath of office. The trial is expected to focus on whether Warren's pledges were the motivation for the suspension and if they're protected speech. Judge Hinkle will also have a pile of evidence to sift through. Attorneys have gathered records leading up to the suspension, plus 14 depositions, which include high-ranking officials in both the governor's and Warren's office.
Now, there are a couple other things to consider here. There was a pretrial hearing last week, the final one before the trial, and that determined that Governor Ron DeSantis would not have to testify in this upcoming legal dispute. Now, Warren's legal team, they didn't seem too bothered by that, and that suggests that they have the confidence they're going to be able to make their case without the governor's testimony. Of course, this is all going to be up to Judge Hinkle in the end. Now, he could rule from the bench at the end of this trial, which we said could take 3 to 5 days, or he could review all the evidence and offer a written order. That could take several days, maybe even a few weeks. Paul?
Yeah, the governor not testifying, that's a big deal, Forrest. Any word on what kind of evidence Warren's legal team has that is making them so confident about this case that they would not call on the governor to testify?
Yeah, we've seen some of the legal filings that offered a little bit of the evidence. We talked about the testimonies there in my story. They've gotten a lot of depositions from several of the high-ranking officials in the governor's office. That includes some of his comm staff. We know that they have text messages. We know that they have some of the emails that were all leading up to the suspension of Andrew Warren. And they're feeling confident that that is going to be enough to prove their case, that this was a violation of Andrew Warren's First Amendment rights, his free speech, as he has said. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, once we get to the courtroom, all of that will become much more clear, and we are expecting several days of testimony and arguments. So it could be a while before we have a clear picture of what Warren is going to offer.
All right, quite the trail of communication and the story of the week that we're going to be watching. Forrest Saunders live in Tallahassee tonight. Forrest, thank you.